Being a YouTuber is a great job. Being a YouTuber who gets to cover pop culture, whether it's Hollywood, entertainment news, movie news, if you're covering the new Marvel movie, covering Comic Con, or you're covering whatever the new latest video game might be, is incredibly fun. It's incredibly rewarding. And it's something that, if you're lucky enough, passionate enough, and willing to make enough sacrifice, you can turn into a job. I've spoken long about how I will never rely on this income, even if I was getting 1 million views a video, because of the things that I've seen happen to other YouTubers. The perfect example is one of the creators, or the creators, of Honest Trailers, Andy Signore. A tale of during the height of the hunt for men who were in positions of power, when everyone was calling Me Too, he was actually the second major person outed, the only major person, as far as I can remember, on YouTube at the time, and he was summarily canceled. Andy Signore was removed from Defy Media and subsequently blacklisted in Hollywood, covering movies, covering being anybody's friend on the internet. Everyone turned their back on him. I was one of the people that, in fact, did cover his original story. And while I had a laugh at somebody who was kind of a certified blue check mark sharing kind of the narrative, I did postulate in that video that we should wait. And fast forward a year or two later, and we've seen almost everybody outed by that social media movement turn out to be innocent, at best creepy. And I said at the time, Andy comes across as a guy that was unhappy in his marriage, but did not appear to be the things that some of the very specific things people were saying about him. He has since settled a lawsuit with Defy Media, so we know what that means. That means that they paid out. And as that has finished, he has released, in my opinion, irrefutable evidence that he was, at best, unhappy in his marriage, flirtatious. Yes, he met with a woman in a hotel several times, but this was a two-way thing. He provides the literal text messages in context to debunk all of their claims. And April Dawn, whom I'm ashamed to say is from Wisconsin, and her boyfriend have made statements on Twitter that, to be honest with you, kind of support that he was right. They only double down and ignore the obvious evidence posted by Andy Signore. And I, for one, welcome him back. We may not agree on things politically, but it doesn't matter. It matters what's correct. And this is a story I'm going to ask that you share, because this is kind of a big deal. This is a very important moment where we see why it's important to not necessarily jump onto the train when it comes to these type of things, especially when there's something to be gained, whether it's, the victimhood currency or whatever it may be. This is a tale that is interesting. I suggest you watch Andy's entire 17-minute video, but I grabbed just a few points that I thought really drove the point home. And then we're going to look at how these two, in my opinion, slimy individuals have responded to being called out.
It's important that I reemphasize, I'm sorry. The truth is, I did awkwardly flirt with and make inappropriate comments to some of my fans, despite being married. In doing this, I betrayed so many people that I love and respect. I put them into horribly awkward and uncomfortable positions, and I'm truly sorry for this behavior. When I look back, I realize I was sometimes a real jerk. I was selfish, I was arrogant, I was angry, and I was way too full of myself. I completely lost focus of what was truly important around me. I'm not proud of this behavior, and I never want to be like that again.
Now he starts out the video kind of laying things out and making what I would, by my assumption, is a sincere apology. He's basically come out and said, look, I stepped out on my wife. I flirted with some people, but I'm not like literally the worst thing ever. And if you read some of these headlines, what people were calling him was about as bad as a thing that you can call a man. And these are the allegations that I think he does an excellent job debunking in this next section.
So what really happened? Here are the facts. I had a completely consensual relationship for 2 months with April O'Donnell, aka April Dawn. She knew I was married, and we both knew exactly what we were doing. And when our relationship ended, April and I amicably chose to go our separate ways. Then, very much to my shock, more than a year later, directly in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein bonfire, April launched false and outrageous allegations, rallying a huge social media mob against me.
So among some of the things that were said at the time by April were that he had taken pictures of her without consent, which he debunks in this video, that he had come to her hotel room without being asked, which he very plainly debunks in this video, that he had used toys on her without her permission, all sorts of just very specific but completely unfounded statements, in my opinion, by somebody who was looking for a little bit of attention.
The first time he used Chicago Comic-Con by saying they were having a Screen Junkies party and I was invited. The party ended up being him alone in his hotel room trying to force himself on me. This is the first easy lie to prove. I did meet April in August 2015 at a convention in Chicago. She volunteered to participate in a live show we were shooting there. So we ended up exchanging numbers, which prompted some mutually flirtatious texts, including her offering to be a discreet, weird groupie for me. I invited her to my hotel room to watch a movie, which she was completely up for. There was no tricking her into a party. She knew we were discreetly chatting. I flat out asked her, "Wanna just hang out in my room and watch a movie or something?" She agreed. Then later asked, "Am I just bringing my sparkling personality?" I responded, "Whatever you want. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Cute, nerdy girl coming up to my hotel room? I've never done that."
And ooh boy, this is one of the most savage parts of the video. This is a woman that said, he tricked me. He tricked me into going up there. I was expecting there to be people everywhere. Oopsie. Here's the actual chat logs that said you knew full well that it was just going to be you and him. Man, this is appalling. This is why when I go on the road or when I go to conventions, I specifically am not in a room alone with women. I don't exchange numbers with them. I'm not spending any. And this is what's so sad. This one woman has sullied the reputation of all women. I get uncomfortable when I meet female fans because you just never know. I mean, we have a blatant fabrication here that literally ruined this man's career. And you know what? Don't wait for all the media that wrote all those pieces about him 2 years ago to come back and correct their story. That's why it's so very important that if any video, that this one, you take and you share this video on social media, you share this on minds.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, people need to see how devious people can be. Claire?
April says I took photos of her without her permission. This is false. In fact, our emails clearly show that April was the one who sent various nude photos to me. I have blurred them here in an effort to take the high road. But I assure you, they are not just scantily clad photos. She says I stopped by her hotel uninvited and took a toy out of my bag and tried to use it on her. She then says I threatened to kick her out of the hotel if she told anyone, and that I later used her relationship with her boyfriend against her, saying if she told anyone, I would have him fired. Our texts clearly reveal we planned the visit. As a matter of fact, we had been constantly talking about hooking up while she visited, and she very clearly invited me to her hotel room. I did not show up to her hotel room uninvited. And for the record, sex toy was never part of any of our encounters.
And he goes on to debunk other further claims in his video as well. And I think it's pretty telling when you look at April's reply here saying, moving forward, when I came forward a few years ago, I knew everything that I displayed in the video today could be made public. I'm assuming she means the images. I decided to go forward regardless because I wanted to make sure no harm would come to any other women. But you were lying. You were lying about everything. I was ready then, and I'm ready now to take the hits, comments, or criticism you can throw at me, because at the end of the day, I know my truth, and what I did was right. I don't think so. You a liar. Why you always lying? When I was ready, and then I'm ready now. Okay, sure. I was a teenager and I made mistakes, and I've had to live with them. What, ruining a man's career? I'm not giving any more of my time or energy to this. Well, yeah, why would you? Why would you answer for it? You have no reason to. You could just continue to just be silent. Meanwhile, Andy Signore can't get a job anywhere in the industry because people like you won't come out and take responsibility. Now, don't contact this person. I know you might feel inclined to, but there's literally nothing to gain from it. You can help turn them into a martyr, I suppose, if that's what you want, but you can see a lot of people are already calling her out. What I would rather is you show Andy Signore, who's on Twitter, or his YouTube video, which I will link in the description, some love. And then you see her boyfriend. I saw Mr. Sociopath's video. I've lived and read everything you've seen and haven't seen for the past few years. I'm not giving another moment of my... Why would you? Again, you lying. You lying. You all lying. Then there are people that are just like, I believe both of you. He's a monster and just trying to get a new following. I don't think so, dude. I think you are, in the light of irrefutable evidence, you are choosing to double down. There is no coming back from this. What we know is that Defy Media, who owned Honest Trailers and Screen Junkies and other YouTube channels, has likely had to pay him some sum of money. He has a new YouTube channel, which I will link in the description below. And I will tell you, if there's an opportunity for me to work with Andy Signore using his movie knowledge with the Exclusively Games website, or maybe even here on the Quartering, I will absolutely do so. Maybe I could have Andy cover video game movies. I'm sorry, games modeling movies. You know, there's plenty of horrible ones to talk about. This is just an important thing. If you're covering Hollywood media, if you're covering movies, music, if you deal with a lot of these games journalists, video game journalists, it seems like a lot of this narrative is held tightly within those groups. I think what April decided to do to Andy Signore with everything after the fact is just I can't understand it. It's just so vicious. And look at what it did to this man's career. He now will have to toil away on YouTube and have to reconvince every single one of his fans that everything they read for years about him was wrong. A nearly impossible task. So in a lot of ways, I suppose he has to cultivate a new following. And maybe that's the best way forward for him, because if I had friends like him, who would need enemies? I do want to take this moment to thank all of you for helping share this video across YouTube, because I think it's important that whether people cover video games, whether they cover movies, whether they cover, like I said, pop culture, whether you're going to Comic-Cons, whether you're going to festivals, content creators need to know they need to be more responsible. And that isn't to absolve Andy of any of his wrongdoings. I think he rightfully admits them. But I'm saying people need to see the way the interworkings of some folks in this industry go. It seems so hard to understand because it is that way for me. I don't understand how anyone could fabricate this story about a fellow coworker, someone that clearly there was feelings involved. And you just wonder why nobody in the video games industry right now is talking about it. How come why isn't Jason Schreier writing a full-page article about this? Look, he's a fellow YouTuber, and in my opinion, he got an insanely raw deal. I encourage everybody to cover this. Maybe Andy will allow you to re-upload his video. I don't know. But where is the games media? Where is entertainment media? I know nobody likes to admit mistakes. We all make them, though. And I feel like a lot of respect is there to be captured by journalists if they would only admit their mistakes, or if they would come out and say, you know what, I said this 3 years ago. New information has come to light. I was wrong. That doesn't mean you can't support other people who've had this problem. What it means is you won't support people making up stories about it to take down YouTubers' careers. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you spread it far and wide, and we'll talk to you again real soon.